Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. It is October 2nd, 2011. This is Against the Wall, and I'm your guest host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. Your regular host, my good friend JJ, is running around New York City and Lower Manhattan right now with Darren and Jules, and the three of them are trying to do some on-the-spot reporting about what's going on over at Occupy Wall Street. And JJ was actually, they were in the heart of that whole march by the Brooklyn Bridge yesterday. And I got JJ on the line with me right now. JJ, tell the listeners what you were telling me before the show about, give them a quick rundown of, how the march started and everything, as much as you know. And then tell them what you were telling me, how you guys were actually in the heart rather than with the press on the sidelines. You guys were marching in line and everything.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, here's how it went down. We got there. We figured Occupy Wall Street means, and they've been there 14 days, means that Wall Street's occupied. So we went down there, and we thought there was, I thought it was like there was, going to be thousands of people down there, just milling around, occupying or whatever, however you might want to think about it. But when we got to the Liberty Park, is what it used to be called. I forgot what they renamed it to. Anyways, we get down there, and there was, you can tell there was probably about maybe 200 people in that little park. That park wouldn't even hold 1,000 or 2,000 people in it. It's not that big. But anyways, the actual heart and core of the protest on Wall Street, I know people flow in and flow out, was down there at Liberty Park, and there was a few hundred hardcore people down there. They were all different. I seen people there was people from Veterans for Peace. There was Grandmothers Against War. There was, and the Fedders, Ron Paul. You name it, the movement was down there. And there was a march planned. The march was planned for 3 o'clock. And we milled around and got a few interviews. And I was waiting for the thousands of people that I thought were going to be there. And they just weren't there until just before the march. So, at the actual, I took pictures. I got pictures I posted of the command center where people are donating. And it literally is, it's like, if you've ever been to a music festival, that's what it would remind you of. People, in their third day in their sick pair of socks, or, people that are living in little tents, and it was sort of festive. There were people playing
There's comments about the protesters smelling really bad and stuff. Like I've heard, is it like, is it as bad as some people are saying, that the stench of BO and stuff is starting to get pretty bad? I'm not being a jerk when I ask that.
No, yeah, absolutely. They got no showers down there. They need things like clean socks, food, blankets. There is a group of hardcores that are staying there. There's people that don't have 2 weeks or a month or 3 months to spare out of their life, so they only come down there for a few hours or for a day. There's plenty of those, but there's a hardcore group, and they need help and support from all of us with things like, toothpaste and shampoo. Although there is no showers, there's nowhere for them to shower. If you live in New York and you could, and you had the ability, I guess maybe offering somebody a shower here and there would be a good idea. Because, there's no facilities down there. They're not welcome anywhere. They've been kicked out of everywhere. There's one place, McDonald's, is still letting them come in and use the bathroom. But things like that they're starting to wind down. Now, I heard that the people that own the park, whatever management corporation it is that owns that park, was talking about kicking everybody out. But then I heard from the actual occupiers there that they were told that they were, in fact, not going to. At this point, they were not going to be kicking anybody out of there. It was totally a nonviolent event until all of a sudden. Now, I know that the whole march, I was right in the middle. I didn't walk along the side of the road. I walked. I'd been there for hours anyways. I was just in there in the middle. How I know there was thousands of people is they were counting them, and when they got to us, they were already up to 800, and behind us were thousands more. I know there was at least 4,000 or 5,000 people there. I don't care what anybody says. I was there. I know. It wasn't the 500 that I heard on CNN. There was thousands of people there. But intermixed, I could tell. And like I said, there's one guy that stood out. You could tell he was not part of the crew. And there were other people in there that I heard slogans being tossed up that weren't our peace slogans or, So, yeah. And then we were told, because I'll tell you right now, because I was talking to some of the organizers of the march, I helped pass out literature for them on what to do, who to call if you were being attacked by the cops, what to do in such a case. And I was handing out the flyers. I was told which way they were going to be marching. When the march actually started, they went the exact opposite direction of the way that I was told by the people orchestrating the march. They didn't go anywhere near Wall Street. They marched the opposite direction of Wall Street, right directly for the Brooklyn Bridge. And the whole way, I've got pictures. You'll see them if you go to the front. Darren's website, the front radio and Ustream. You'll be able to see some of the videos. And we have Darren's live stream up in the front of Orion Talk Radio too. I was watching some of the video that you guys had shot yesterday. And it was crazy. I mean, you guys were literally, like, from what I saw, Darren was moving his I guess he was shooting his iPhone. We were dead center. And he was spinning his iPhone around, and no matter what direction he aimed at, there was hundreds of people in any direction. Yeah. So there had to be more than 400 or 500 people down there. No, there were thousands of people, I assure you. I mean, they arrested, 700 people on the bridge alone? Well, yes. And the problem they started up we were about 800 people back in the line. We started right up front, but sort of as we were taking pictures, people milled by us. You know what I'm saying? And when we got to the bridge, we found ourselves about 900 people back. But there was at first yesterday it was like 50 arrests. Then all of a sudden there was no way. If you were, say, up there in the first 300 or 400 or 500 people, you couldn't turn around. It was barricaded on both sides. The cops had traffic coming from Brooklyn into Manhattan was flowing over the bridge. The cops had traffic from Manhattan to Brooklyn blocked off. The protesters were on the pedestrian bridge in the center, and you could see that they weren't going to be able. You could not turn around. There was, like I said, they stopped it. They stopped letting people on the bridge. Actually, there was about maybe 1,000 people total on the bridge before they started telling people they couldn't go that way. Maybe more. There was a couple thousand people on there. That's true. Did you guys see any cases of police brutality? Like, did you see the cops beating the crap out of anybody? Not back where we were. As we were trying to mill our way up to where that was going on, they started just turning people around. But what I do know is the protesters weren't causing trouble. It was either the cops or the provocateurs, because the whole thing was planned. It had to have been. You couldn't get back. It was a trap. Though half the people that got arrested weren't doing anything but turning around and trying to get the hell out of there, because the cops were getting ready. You could see they all had, they had the zip tie handcuffs. They were up there, going up there. They were bringing in paddy wagons, bus loads full of cops. There were hundreds. There weren't thousands of cops, but there were 500-600 cops floating around there easily. And you guys didn't witness anybody getting beaten or anything at all? They wouldn't we couldn't get up there. No, you couldn't even get close enough to where they were arresting the people? Like, you couldn't? No, because I heard they were arresting them one by one. There were girlfriends and boyfriends, apparently. Like, they were kissing each other goodbye, and then the boyfriends would walk over and, let themselves get arrested. Yeah, I don't. Because they kettled them. They pretty much kettled them in onto the right. They didn't. They. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they were corralled and led right to the bridge where they could easily be kettled in and arrested. But I'm pretty sure there was people in the group that were leading too. It wouldn't have been that easy. Your bumper's coming up. You're going to get cut off. Stay tuned, guys. 3 minutes more live reporting from the occupation of Wall Street. We'll be right back.
We are back with our live coverage of Occupy Wall Street. JJ, during a break, you and I were having this pretty heavy discussion about the protests and the police and everything, and you and I were going back and forth, and we pretty much have the same theory that they were led towards the bridge to kettle them in and then arrest them, because the bridge would act like a large cage. They can't jump out of the sides. Yeah. So all they got to do is close off either end, and then they could just have the cops that are going to do the arresting staged at one end and just start to arrest them, and then maybe even open up the other end to arresting people too, to expedite the process. And it's, if you look at it from a military or a police standpoint, that makes perfect sense. Now, you said the reason why I believe they were led there is because JJ brought up a good point. He was there. He spoke to the organizers of the march, and they told you that the direction that the march went in was not the direction that they told you that the march was supposed to be. Literally, not like the direction of the tone of the people. I mean, the physical direction that the people walked. They went the opposite way. We were going to leave. Correct?
Yes, we were going to turn right out of the park, and they turned left and went. And my contention is that there was somebody leading the group that was disingenuous. They were leading the people to because the cops there was hundreds of cops all along the road. People were across Broadway. We went down Broadway, not anywhere near Wall Street, and the cops were just milling around. There was cops with they had the plastic zip-tie cuffs, but they were just milling around talking to people like they didn't have a care in the world. The minute protesters had been directed to first of all, the Brooklyn Bridge was not the destination. They weren't. What were they going to do? We were going to send thousands of people to occupy Wall Street by marching across Brooklyn Bridge into Brooklyn. So that part, I don't understand. And then the minute that there was more than a couple of hundred people on the bridge, we started seeing the buses roll in, vans full of cops, NYPD. I mean, literally, in about a space of about 10 minutes, we saw 200, 300 cops come in, and they all headed up on the car side of the bridge heading into Brooklyn. Traffic, the protesters did not stop traffic. It was the cops that were stopping traffic. They had blocked off, not protesters. And then they were corralled in, and there was nowhere to go. Even if you didn't want to be on that bridge, you were stuck on that bridge. You couldn't get back off.
Yeah, like I said, a perfect cage. Because they can't jump off the sides. The only thing the cops have to worry about is closing off the two ends of the bridge. They can't go up, and they can't go left or right. So, and if they close off the two ends of the bridge, now they're effectively in a lobster trap. And now they're at the cops' whim, and that's why they were able to arrest so many people in such an orderly fashion, because they boxed them in.
Because half the people they arrested were trying to get off the bridge. They couldn't.
Yeah, you see, to me, that sounds like somebody on the inside somehow hijacked.
There may have been a few people up front, but most of the people there, by and large, are just trying to get back off.
Have you been able to talk to
the march had ended at that point?
Have you been able to talk to any of the event organizers and ask them why they went in the exact opposite direction they told you guys they were going to go?
Those people didn't seem to be around. I couldn't find them.
Interesting.
But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop looking.
Well, I mean, I know there's lots of people there. They could have been some of the people that were arrested, So there were a lot
of people arrested.
I don't want to make accusations.
And there were a lot of people there, and it was cool. I say support it. If you're going to start one in your neck of the woods, do it.
They're all over the country.
Keep coming. People have been there for 2 weeks, and they're going to stay there, and they plan marches. So just keep. Hey, even if all you got is a weekend to go up there for a weekend. Do it. If you can go to the chip-in page they have at the OccupyWallStreet.org, go there. If you can't go, talk one of your friends into going. Just do it. Whatever. Sitting at home.
I went yesterday.
What we can do. I tried to call you while you were down there.
Yeah, it was so crazy. Like you couldn't. I had my phone in my back pocket, and I was filming, and I was walking around talking to people. So I missed about 18 phone calls while I was there. The problem I have with the protest, and this is not to be a downer about it, but things like them being led onto that bridge and kettled like they were, that the police and these elites, they understand that, yeah, the people are pissed, but at a base level, look, they can be led like sheep and cattle into a big cage, penned up, and taken to the slaughterhouse. Okay? And when I say that, it's because a lot of the people at these events, everybody's angry. And that's awesome that people are mad and they're getting involved. More people need to stand up. But one of the largest problems there is right now is the fact that, like yesterday, there was such a diverse group of people there that, I mean, dude, there was even a skinhead. And when I say skinhead, I mean Doc Marten boot-wearing, red lace-having, suspender-wearing skinhead. And, everybody kind of, they formed their own little groups or whatever, and everybody was doing their own good thing. But you have such a diverse, crowd of people that the message gets easily hijacked by people that are vocal and willing to stand up and grab the bullhorn for a second and say something. And most of the people that were speaking, at least down here, I noticed a lot of it was this down with capitalism, socialism type thing. And that's the same thing that they keep only portraying on TV when they ask and interview protesters, is the same kind of crap. That pushing down with capitalism, we need socialism and all this stuff. And what I noticed, at first I thought it was just a small group, that only the media was focusing in on. But I've noticed from seeing it myself that there actually is a large contingent of this younger crowd that is all about this. And a lot of them, yesterday there were a lot of awesome, receptive people that I met, some of the coolest people I've met down here in South Florida. But there were also people that were like, if you talked about socialism and everything, they were like, woo-hoo-hoo. But if you tried to explain to them about how the law works, or about, if you tried to sit down and explain what the straw man is to anybody, people would, they were very, some people were standoffish. As the crowd grew and swelled to a couple hundred people, there were more people there. I gave out a couple hundred DVDs, I gave out flyers and stuff. So there was a good mix of, there was a mix of everything, but the basic tone that seems to be getting the prevailing attitude is this down with capitalism stuff. And to me, that's just as insincere as the Tea Party's getting hijacked by the likes of Sarah Palin or Bachmann, because none of them are real, or they're not real Tea Party people, but they claim that they are. They act like they're real Tea Partiers. They act like they are the Tea Party, and they're not. They don't represent the grassroots people that are angry and what, the people on the ground are talking about. They hijack it. And that's what I question. I don't know for a fact, but just sitting back and looking at things, it's almost like the Occupy Wall Street, the America's Day of Rage thing was organized from the viewpoint of controlled opposition, and to be used as a pressure relief valve, because if people are coming out and protesting, they're venting their anger. Naturally, that'll help them relieve some of their anger, so that if something comes down the pike a year later, like economic collapse or anything, it's easier to control people, because now that sentiment of anger has leveled off a little bit. It's social engineering. They do this stuff all the time. We're going to break, guys. We'll be right back. More live reporting from Occupy Wall Street in New York. We're back. Sunday, October 2nd, 2011. And I'm your guest host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. This is Against the Wall. And your host, JJ, is on the road doing live reporting from the occupation of Wall Street. And he was telling me during the break, we were discussing how, it's just the whole thing, again, with the whole bridge thing. I keep harping on this today because this is really important. Something shady about that whole thing. That whole situation is very shady. And JJ, when you guys were walking around yesterday, were you able to speak to some, like, the protesters themselves? Did you notice if there was this overall, like that anarchist attitude, down with capitalism, or was it more diverse than they were showing?
There absolutely wasn't until the march started. The people that were down there were all...
JJ's breaking up. He's going through. They're traveling right now, so he's probably in a bad service area. So I might have to reconnect to him to get a better connection here. So stand by while I play with the phone lines, guys. He's traveling, so you know how cell phones are on the road. But they witnessed, the stuff that they witnessed and saw. JJ was able to talk to the event organizers. There you go.
There absolutely there was no violence. There was nothing. In fact, if anybody here listening to the show's ever been to like a peace festival or a weekend music festival, with the hippie type people, you would swear that, the group of people that were occupying the square could have been in any music fest. They were people giving out free hugs. There was people with flowers in their hairs. They were dirty. None of them had showers. But and they had all dirty socks, and there were no anarchists in that group of people. Those were people that all came together. There was black people, white people, there was a guy with a sign written in Chinese translated to English. There were people for black solidarity there mixing. There was nobody there, calling each other, saying that honky racist white dudes own the world. They were everybody had their message. They were all hugging. Everybody was about peace. Everybody was about getting together, holding hands, being together, and trying to project outwardly that vision that they had for a system that wasn't controlled from the top, but was controlled at the bottom by the people, by the masses. And then it wasn't until later, it wasn't until after the march had already began, that I started noticing what we might call provocateurs, people that were started to, pass out F the police, and started, coming up with slogans that were not, peace slogans, or, you know what I'm saying? So,
I saw that yesterday. I saw one or two people that would walk around and they would get into the conversations and say things like, well, doing peaceful stuff, giving out DVDs or something like that, or waking people up or talking to people, that only works to a certain extent. After a certain extent, you got to get out in small groups and do things. And I was like, well, I agree that small groups are effective, but I don't think, what are you going to do? So you have to wake people up. You can't just go around and cause violence and stuff. But people don't. To me, if you get someone that comes to a meeting like that and starts doing stuff like that, that's agent provocateur-ish kind of behavior.
That's my contention. Yes.
So, from a witness standpoint, an eyewitness, would I be correct in saying that these guys were herded because, the elites know that they're sheep and they're very easily led around by the nose. They're angry sheep, but because they're not awake as to the nature of the New World Order, and they think the bad guys are capitalism and white people in suits and stuff like that, basically, because that's how it's portrayed, them, they, the man.
I know we were walking around asking, when are we going to occupy the Federal Reserve? We walked right by 4,000 or 5,000 people walked right by City Hall. It was all barricaded and caged off. There was one lone security guard sitting inside the City Hall compound. We walked right by that onto the bridge. They went to occupy the Brooklyn Bridge. They were corralled there. They were sent there. The people in front had to know there was no way off a bridge. Once you're on the top, you either have to turn around and go the other way or jump. There was just no way to get off. They were corralled, and the cops knew it. They weren't worried at all about anything. They knew exactly what was going to go down, and as soon as people started heading to the bridge, they started rolling up. The cops weren't worried about. There was nothing disorderly. We were all totally peaceful. There was no violence. Nobody was. The park isn't full of graffiti. Nobody was being. You know what I'm saying? There was nobody being attacked for any reason at all. The only odd thing that I saw there was that occupying Wall Street didn't mean actually being on Wall Street. Wall Street.
which doesn't make sense for them to walk from
the sidewalk anywhere down there.
They walked all the way to the Brooklyn Bridge, which why you see when I saw that there was all these arrests on the Brooklyn Bridge, the first thing I said was, why the hell were they on the Brooklyn Bridge?
That's what me and Darren were saying. That's
why were they down by? Why were they even down in that area? That's like by Chinatown. Why the hell were they over there? Why did they walk down in that direction?
I have no clue.
That doesn't make any sense. That's not by where the bankers are. You know, you got to go back towards Wall Street. That doesn't make any sense. You know, people are, you know, this is why I say they need to educate themselves, because these people don't understand the nature of the New World Order, and they think you have this mystical bad guy, you know, and yes, the Wall Street is part of the problem, but when people think that Wall Street is the only problem, no. Wall Street is a symptom of a much larger problem, and again, they get you focusing, you know, with a myopic view. People get angry, they get pissed off. And then what do? They go and they get led like a bunch of sheep and cattle onto the bridge, into a trap, and then they start to get arrested. And everybody decries the NYPD. Oh, they're so evil for doing it. No, you guys are dumb for allowing it to happen to yourselves. And I'm not picking on you, and I don't think that the NYPD arresting everybody, I am not taking the NYPD side when I say that, but you're dumb for allowing it to happen in the first place. There should have been contingency plans for this, and people should have thought ahead about this. And the problem is they're not, because everybody is running around with Michael friggin' Moore and Susan Sarandon, two avowed socialists, okay, who are useless. Let me tell you something. The reason why you have star power like them, and I don't mean Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr, I like her. Okay, I'll give her credit. She went down there. She's actually interjecting real issues. Okay, she's the only, famous person, I'm doing air quotes, that's actually down there doing any good. Michael Moore, he's hurting the cause. Susan Sarandon, hurting the cause. Roseanne Barr, double thumbs up. Okay, but the rest of them, all morons. They're not helping the cause. And I know people are going to say, well, Popeye, I've heard Roseanne say she's a socialist too. Yes, I've heard the same stuff, but she's not out there, okay, spewing the same stuff. Roseanne also knows about the New World Order. She knows about Kathy O'Brien and MK Ultra. She understands things on a different level than most of these people do. Okay, that's why I went to the Occupy Miami meeting yesterday. My sole purpose was two reasons. One, I went down there to be a videographer and to cover it as a journalist. And the other reason I went down there was to make sure that I was able to at least interject some truth to these people. Because most of these people had no clue, and I'm not picking on them again, but they had no clue. They didn't know what the hell was going on. They knew something was wrong, and they knew they were angry, but they didn't know what they were angry about. And a lot of them, the older crowd, the older generations that were there, because there was older people, younger people. The older people seemed to be more aware and to know what was going on. It was the younger crowd that has this down with capitalism stuff crap built into their head. And that comes from the educational system. That goes back to Charlotte Iserby when she talks about the deliberate dumbing down of America. Okay, all this stuff interconnects. That's why when people say, well, why do I need to know all this stuff? There's so much. Because if you don't understand the game, you're never going to be able to win it. You're never going to be able to even be on an equal playing field with everybody else that's playing the game. Because they understand that the game is played by a completely different set of rules. And you're not privy to it. So if you're not privy to it, you can't understand what's going on. I think it's great that everybody showed up to all these Occupy events, but it's real important that we get people that understand and know how the New World Order works to get out there and give out DVDs and give out knowledge and give out information. This is the same stuff. This is the same way we created the Tea Party movement, grassroots level. Okay, the original grassroots part of it came from the End the Fed and Ron Paul movements. And a lot of them got woken up to 9/11 Truth because 9/11 Truth went to those events. So we must go. We're going to break. We'll be right back. We are back. JJ, I got kind of long-winded going into the break, and I didn't give you a chance to answer my question. Or I guess answer me. It's not so much of a question, but I guess am I correct in how I look at this, that they were corralled like animals and sent there?
100% affirmative. Yes. Like I said, the cops weren't even concerned. The cops knew that they knew where the march was heading. They weren't concerned. They knew where they were going to head them off. They didn't even start pooling their resources until the first people headed onto the bridge. They knew damn well they weren't going to make it all the way across the bridge. They were going to stop them halfway. They were not. There were no protesters in the road. That was the cops in the road. And then the media, the people that went there just to take pictures and say we were here, they were on the outside of the barricades running around taking pictures and filming it all.
Did you see any black bloc people down there? Because I noticed that at 16 days now of protest, and I haven't seen any of these black bloc protesters running around flipping garbage cans in big groups anyway, lighting fires, kicking in windows and stuff.
Until the masses got there. The core group of this Occupy Wall Street is a dedicated group of people who are absolutely 100% peacefully. They want change. They know breaking things in windows and destroying property isn't going to do that, and none of them. That wasn't on anybody's agenda at all. Stopping traffic and causing regular people heading to work was not on their agenda. Their agenda is to raise awareness to the corporate takeover of America with the help of the Federal Reserve. That's what their main message was. Peace. That's what their main message was. Peace and love. Hope for the future, real hope for the future, not slavery with debt. That's not at all what this is all about. And then yes, did we see people who and when we get back and Darren gets everything up posted, I'll point out a couple of guys in the video that we had immediately identified as some sort of extra paramilitary. And there were people in the crowd that were definitely not genuine with the message and the movement. And it was steered. They were corralled. I believe 100% that being on the Brooklyn Bridge was not the natural or the organic evolution of events that day. It was contrived.
Well, somebody in the chat room, Rob in the chat room, makes a good point, and he's kind of on point with what I'm thinking. The fact that it hasn't been any black bloc activity there, like you saw at the G20 protests in Toronto, in Pittsburgh. The protesters would be out in the street, and within minutes, the black bloc was showing up, kicking windows in, lighting stuff on fire. London protests, same thing. But you notice that there isn't black bloc running around down there.
No, now, those people are genuine.
Here's the thing. That makes me wonder whether or not that at some point this thing is controlled opposition, even if the people that the leaders of it don't even, even if they don't realize it, because I'm not saying that they would be bad, but they could be led around by the nose.
There's a rumor out there that George Soros has something to do with this, with funding, with planning of it. The people that I just know that the people that are actually occupying that small park in the middle of Manhattan are the most genuine, peaceful, loving people that I've come across, except for a Grateful Dead show.
The core heart of this, the people that are showing up, there are some awesome people you're meeting. I met some awesome people down in Miami yesterday. Exactly. But there needs to be people, like I was saying going into the break.
Once the thousands of people showed up, there were co-opted people in that group. I know for a fact, 100%.
That brings up a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, actually.
They created that spectacle.
Didn't you say yesterday or earlier that yesterday there was only a couple hundred people, and then all of a sudden, right before the march, just like poof,
within 20 minutes, dude. Within 20 minutes, because like I said, I was there for hours and hours before that, talking to people, getting the feel for what was going on. There was a few hundred people. Within the march was scheduled for 3:00. At about 2:45, all of a sudden, there was just thousands of people. It seems like, and I know they didn't all come in off the subways. Somehow they just mysteriously appeared. Thousands of people. A lot of them were genuine, but you'll see when you see my pictures. I took pictures of almost all the slogans, and I look at some of the slogans and signs that are up there on that bridge that I couldn't get further up that I couldn't get to, and I see pictures and signs and slogans that weren't in the crowds. I just know for a fact that this whole thing was contrived. Not the whole thing, but at the end of it was.
We need to take it back with knowledge, and we need people going out there holding up, when you see cameras, hold up a sign that says federaljack.com, or hold up a sign that says oriontalkradio.com. You know, that stuff is important because people need to, you know, put up the Intel Hub and what really happened and whatever other sites are out there.
Yeah,
you know,
when I get home, we'll get them all
the alternative media, because that's important. That's super important. That's why when I went to the Occupy Miami yesterday, JJ, I brought DVDs with me, and I gave out a couple hundred DVDs to people yesterday because at least I can interject some truth and let them see what's really going on. Let them understand that there's more to it than just a bunch of greedy corporate traders or bankers. There's way more to it than that.
All right. Hey, I want to give Darren like 2 seconds to give his take and then tell people where they can go find his live stream videos.
Yeah, go ahead. Put them on.
Hey, Popeye, what's going on?
What's up, Darren?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what Jim was saying. In the beginning, when we got there, it seemed like a pretty a positive thing that was going on. But the crowd swelled up really fast around 3 o'clock. There was a planned march for 3 o'clock. The crowd swelled up real fast. And like you said, we went the opposite way from Wall Street. We headed towards the Brooklyn Bridge. Now, you know, none of us are from New York. I had no idea where we were going. I didn't know if we were going to go down and around the block and come back up towards Wall Street, so I had no clue. Like probably most of the people in the crowd were just kind of following whoever was leading the thing. And, you know, they brought us to the Brooklyn Bridge. And, you know, tactically that's not where I would want to be. So, you know, me and Jim and Jules just kind of hung back and watched to see what would happen. And exactly what we thought would happen happened. We just watched them kind of corral all the protesters up there and waited till they had, I don't know, a sufficient number, I guess, according to the cops, and came in behind them and I guess started arresting everybody.
And I asked JJ, and I'm gonna ask you. You guys said that you noticed, or he said that you guys noticed some shady characters, people walking around.
Oh, yeah, especially like he said, that one guy, really well dressed, just didn't fit in, man. Like he looked wealthy. He also looked, I don't know, like he had experience in, I don't know if it would be law enforcement or military training or something. I don't know why I got that impression. Probably because he was so well dressed, but he was working with the police, right on the police line, like not allowing people to get into the street. But he was, you know, wasn't in his battle gear or anything. He was in a nice two-piece suit with a, you know, fancy silk shirt underneath it and an umbrella. But he was about 6'4", I'd say. And he seemed to be working with the cops, like talking to them, you know. So, my own impression of him was that I just got the feeling he worked for some type of private security force that had to do with the banks, and he was coordinating with the cops. But I'm totally guessing that. That's just my take on it.
That sounds like something that they would do. I mean, they used private security at the G20 protests and stuff, and I would venture a guess that because this has been going on for so long that anybody would have a brain would know that NYPD has intelligence units. So it wouldn't surprise me if they had somebody, you know, plain clothes or whatever, even if he was, you know, wearing a suit and sticking out like a sore thumb, that kind of stuff, you know, that it screams, you know, agent provocateur, or even if they're not provocateurs, but like leading the herd of people down into the bridge. You know, I mean, that's a tactical thing.
He wasn't with us. He was standing in line. He was just
walking amongst you guys.
No. He was when we were walking down the sidewalk when the march started. The police lined the entire sidewalk, standing about 2 feet out into the street, not allowing any protesters' feet to leave the sidewalk and step into the road. So they were kind of keeping us all on the sidewalk. He was in the line of police doing that. He wasn't in with the protesters. No, he was working with the police.
Yeah, he was either private security or he might have been a detective, but he was more than likely probably private security.
Yeah, he didn't seem like he was taking orders from them. He kind of seemed like he was telling them what was going on. But I'm going to watch the video again, and if you guys want to check it out, if you go to Ustream.com and just in the search bar search Front Stream, you'll find all the videos from yesterday. Unfortunately, there's some, things, we streamed some live stuff before anything really happened, and I didn't get any arrests on the bridge up there because I wasn't in there. So you'll just get a good feel of the type of crowd and some of the interviews that we did on those videos.
Awesome. Thanks for everything you did, Darren. If you guys want, stay around, because I'm sure there's more you guys want to get out about what was going on. So you're going to get cut off by the bumper and the break here, but we're back in a few minutes. Listeners, stay tuned.
All right.
We are back. This is hour 2 of Against the Wall. I'm your guest host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. And joining me live from on the road is your host, JJ Inc. JJ, you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm still here, man.
Cell phone permitting.
I know, dude. These new cell phones got so many buttons on them. You press a button accidentally, you shut yourself off. So that's why I asked you to run the show, do the show, and I'd call in. Instead of, you remember I tried to do it on a laptop in the car out in Nevada, and it sounded all hokey. So, yeah, that's definitely the way to do it. I really appreciate you doing it for me, man.
No problem, dude. Thank you for going down and dealing with the NYPD and covering the protests. It's good that we had some on-the-scene reporting, and it's good that you and Darren are able to give, it's not like one person. I actually asked
one cop, as we were walking by, I was like, hey, man, why don't you get in here with us? He's like, he didn't. He was like, look, I know, man, I understand. I was like, it's your pensions they're stealing. That's what this march is all about. At least that's what I thought it was all about, apparently, and this one cop that I was talking to was like, look, I totally understand. I know. I said, not everybody out here is a freak and a creep, He's like, no, I never said that. I never said that at all. This is how I feed my family. So, I guess you can see both sides of every coin.
Yeah, well, I don't agree with the I'm just doing my job part, or I'm just following orders. I have an issue with that. So were the Nazis. Either. So were the Soviets that ran the gulags. I don't want to hear that crap.
Yeah. And so were the Pol Pot. So everyone.
Yeah, the Khmer Rouge and everybody else, they all were following orders too. So I don't want to hear that crap. It's time to stand up and say no.
Yeah, so if you ask me, support the movement. If you can get out there, get out there. If you can't, start a movement in your community. And if you can't do that, talk about it. Send the links out. Do what you can. I'm not a guy that ever is going to say that you're a slacktivist or you're not doing what you should be doing or you should be doing this. Whatever it is you can think to do is the right thing in my book. If anyone was asking me, I would say that, yes, that this is the core of this. The people that I saw were genuine. Now, I have heard the rumors that George Soros was behind it. I don't know about that. I do know that yesterday it was announced that J.P. Morgan donated about $4 million to the NYPD to combat.
So you wonder why they were beating the protesters protesting the very same jerk-offs on Wall Street. Gee, I wonder.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got to wonder why there wasn't one damn protester on Wall Street. In fact, we went the opposite direction of Wall Street.
And it would make sense if somebody that was working through the police department, funded by J.P. Morgan, funneled them onto the bridge to be trapped and taken in like cattle to a slaughterhouse. They don't care. Look, they don't care about us. They don't care. They really don't. And they want to keep the protesters stupid and
this wasn't
disorganized.
A bunch of anarchists. This was boyfriends and girlfriends that went down together. This is mothers. I think there was people that had their children that went onto that bridge. That wasn't just a bunch of anarchists that were out there causing trouble.
And what they'll do is they'll arrest the people with the kids, and then they'll try to say, we got to have CPS intervene.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was,
in fact,
the woman the woman from Grandmothers Against War, she told me to mention that she was 84 years old, and that her partner, not her life partner, but her partner that was there with her, another grandmother, was 82 years old. And they were there. They were marching. They were protesting. They were not flipping hands. They weren't starting fires or anything. This was absolutely
because the people are really pissed off. At a base, the sentiment is real. The problem is the movement is being steered by people that maybe are not as genuine. And I'm not saying the people at the top. I'm just saying it's obvious from watching it and seeing the kind of coverage it gets and everything else.
At about 1:45, the provocateurs started moving in, because that's when the F the police pamphlets started coming around. That's when people started getting angry. Because the people that I was milling around with for hours before were not. They were obviously concerned Americans. They were not necessarily angry Americans just out to get a piece. They weren't out of work people that wanted checks for free. They weren't, you know what I mean? Like as I've heard some of the reporters on the more mainstreams describe the people of these protests as, disgruntled and out of work, as people that just want these welfare checks. But that was not true at all. Not at all.
You notice the mainstream media picks who it interviews, JJ. Like, we had a local CBS affiliate yesterday come down to the Occupy Miami event, and we had, I myself, actually, when News 4 walked up, I was getting interviewed by New Times, I think it was, and somebody else. And as they were interviewing me and talking to me, CBS 4 rolled up, and they wanted to talk to the organizers of the event, and you could see, like, after they spoke to the people that were, and the guys they spoke to, they said, we're not the organizers of the event, we're just people that showed up. Now, this is something that was a little weird, and a couple other people that were there talked to me about this. The people that were kind of taking charge of the event were not the people who organized it.
No.
And I know that there's no head or no collective head and everything else, but it's just it was weird, and I don't say weird in a bad or a good way. I still have to kind of mull it over and try to figure it out. And I've talked to a few other people too, but it was just weird how the people that organized the event were not the people that were getting interviewed by they kind of took charge, and they weren't the ones that were getting interviewed. And then they went around after they interviewed this one dude. Channel 4 hung out for a little while, and they went around and they selectively chose who they were going to talk to. Now, the news reporter was standing about 5 feet from me, and she listened to me talk for over 10 minutes about what's really going on. And I didn't get into stuff that would freak people out. I got into stuff that's real. They can and at least they could wrap their heads around if they're not awake at all. And they completely ignored me. They wanted nothing to do with me. They stayed away from me like I had the plague. And I knew they were going to do that. And then they went and they found an old lady she's a very smart old lady. I thought she was awesome, but she was in a wheelchair. And they went and, I guess because old lady in a wheelchair, let's go interview her. So it's amazing who they picked out. They never went and spoke. They never went and actually spoke and interviewed any of the people that were really pontificating about important issues. Because, they gave like a chance for people to, stand up and say some stuff. So I sat around videotaping it and watching it and, keeping an eye on everything and observing so I could figure out what's going on. And because I didn't want to get sucked into this, like, now all of a sudden federaljack.com is a part of, the Occupy Miami event. No. I wanted to cover it as an independent journalist and, give it my independent view. And I didn't want to.
I wanted to do both.
Well, I wanted to get involved, which I did go down and I gave out DVDs and stuff, but I didn't want to.
Believe me, we walked around and milled around and talked to people before we put our feet in. They were like, we're going to go out there and start blowing up buses. I would. You know what I mean?
Well,
when we were there, the people we talked to.
Like, I got involved with the other press people that were there.
No, I understand. I get exactly. That's what we were down there for, was to, as independent reporters, But we just wanted to make sure that we were independently reporting from inside the crowd, not.
Oh
from
no,
over
that's
on the
kind of the same thing I did too. And like I got involved, I got pulled in by I think it was a lady who was helping organize it into like the press area for all the press people, and there were people down there that knew who I was. They didn't really know what I physically looked like, but they heard me talking about, like, they saw me passing out federaljack.com, and then they put two and two together. A local guy that he's been following me on YouTube for years. He was talking with me. He came up, shook my hand, thanked me for all I did. And that wasn't even why I was there. I went there just to cover it and then to interject a little truth into it. Like inject it, like giving it a shot of penicillin. Because I know what's going to happen. I have this feeling that they're going to try to hijack this and turn it into we have to destroy capitalism. We have to bring about socialism and stuff like that. That's what I foresee. And that's an easy straw man argument. That's an easy argument to defeat. So they're taking this movement that's real and they're creating this straw man argument out of it that they can either defeat or maybe use to push a different agenda. That's what I see. We're going to break. We'll be right back.
They say the rebels in Iraq still fight for Saddam, but that's bullish. I'll show you why it's totally wrong. Cause if another country
We are back. JJ, when you were down there, did you see any 9/11 truth or people giving out DVDs or anything like that? Was there anybody else trying to interject some truth about what's going on with the New World Order into the mix, or what?
No. I saw sort of a lot of different groups represented down there. I didn't see any We Are Changers or any 9/11 truth groups down there at all. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying I expected the place to be lousy with We Are Change guys. I didn't see a one. And I looked around. I was actively asking everybody I saw if they seen any. I wanted to do an interview with one of the guys from We Are Change, whether it was Luke Radowski or anyone else, and I couldn't find a single one. In fact, out of all those thousands of people, I only saw 2 9/11 related shirts. And we were right across the street from Ground Zero. I mean, literally, in some of the pictures I took, you can see the Freedom Tower in the background.
And nobody was down there trying to interject truth. See, I would have used that. I did yesterday. I went down and I brought a couple hundred DVDs down. My wife helped me. And it was just the two of us, and we walked around giving out DVDs to people. So,
exactly.
I mean, there's no excuse for people to not be burning DVDs right now and going down to Wall Street or occupy whatever city in your state that you live in. Go burn 100 copies of whatever documentary that whatever truth documentary that you happen to like. Bring a 9/11 truth one. Bring something like Wake Up Call. That's a great one.
Bring Vaccine Nation. Bring whatever.
Bring America Freedom to Fascism. That's a perfect one. You should bring that one down and give it out. And just say, hey, you want to learn about what's going on with Wall Street? Don't try to engage people. Don't try to go up to somebody and be like, well, the Federal Reserve, because they're going to, a lot of people, they don't have, you have to remember, you're dealing with people, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but there are people down there with a diminished mental capacity, meaning when I say that, I mean they don't have the attention span of a gnat. And that's because of the media and everything else and mind control. That's a whole nother aspect. But the point is, go down there and just say, hey, look, you guys want to find out what's going on Wall Street? You want to really know the truth? Yeah. Get them all riled up and go, here, watch this movie. And just give them a copy of America Freedom to Fascism. And have it say right on top, just America Freedom to Fascism. That's the title. You don't have to, what's it about? Oh, it explains the connections to the Fed and how, Wall Street and the government, they work together. And oh, man, thanks. No problem. That's usually what happens. That's what you have to do. Otherwise, you're going to be in a long-winded conversation and you'll end up getting derailed. It's better to just try to give a tidbit of information, give them the DVD, let them lead the horse to the water, but let the horse drink itself. It's the only way to do it. Otherwise, the horse isn't going to drink. Right, JJ?
Yeah, absolutely. And I really do think, hey, you know what? It's like this, guys. Whether or not we started it, why don't we finish it? It's out there right now. It's spreading. I say the same thing about the Ron Paul guys. Half of half of the friends I got on the truther side now started out as people I met in the Ron Paul circles who literally thought I was an idiot for even mentioning, some sort of government collusion or knowledge of 9/11. A lot of them are now 9/11 truthers. So let's just use the movement. It's genuine in nature, maybe not at the very top, but the people occupying Wall Street right now, occupying that little park that have been there and that are going to stay there, are genuine, and not in a way like, well, we have to fight and use violence. They know for a fact that they don't want people killed. They just want the system to change. And it's got to happen, and it's already out there. And if they're already starting to organize and plan in your neck of the woods, get in there. It doesn't mean you have to go around, with a bullhorn screaming at people. In fact, the bullhorns weren't allowed. They took everybody's bullhorns away there out in Wall Street. It's whatever, man. Whatever you can think. And since it is already spreading, they're talking about Dallas, Austin, Miami, Philadelphia, Boston. Did I say Boston already? Boston, L.A. Hop in. Even if it's just go down there, walk around, shake people's hand, bring some clean socks, whatever. Support it and be a part of it, guys. Really, why not? What the hell else are you going to do, right?
I agree that we should support it, but at the same time, we should also we have to interject some truth. People, I'm telling you, bring flyers, go to these events, bring DVDs. Now is the time. Now is the time, because if not, I think it's going to get hijacked. I think they're going to try to hijack it.
If it isn't already.
If it's not already, or if it wasn't completely, begun as a pressure relief valve, I think at the very minimum they're going to try to hijack it, because there are people with good intentions going there, and they're not. There's like I was talking about before. There's so many people that are angry right now at the system and pissed off, but they don't know what to do, and
they really don't even know who to really be mad at.
Exactly. That's the problem. They know they're pissed. They're not really sure why, and they're not really sure who to be pissed at. And that's a bad thing.
And the media coverage is very, very disingenuous as far as, these people are protesting, they're saying that, they're mad and they're just mad at rich white people. No, that's not it at all. And so that's a slap in the face, and that's disingenuous at best, and outright just propaganda and a lie, because that's not at all what I observed myself. I observed people that knew that although major corporations are a big part of it, it's a combination of multinational corporations and Federal Reserve central banking, and that's where we need to attack. And it's funny that Wall Street and the Federal Reserve and the banks, I mean, we walked right by the huge Bank of America building. Nobody wanted, I just, I was asking people, so when are we going to stop people from getting into Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Lehman Brothers, all these buildings that are down here, the New York Fed, the main federal branch of the Federal Reserve, the main branch here in New York. So I just think you should, if you get the chance to get down there, do it. There's people down there. They're already know that things have to be done. And another thing I want everybody to understand is that there were thousands of people riding by on buses, waving and hooting and hollering. Also, the support is out there. There were those people that thought everybody there was a bunch of morons and idiots who thought, we're protesting technology on our technology phone, which is just not true at all. We're not protesting technology at all. We're protesting being slaves with debt currency to banks and multinational corporations. And a slave you be.
Well, I just found out. I just located, as I was talking to you and listening to you and everything. Underneath, I was looking on Occupy Miami's page, and I was looking at the photos from yesterday. Apparently, there's an Occupy the Fed movement now.
Oh, really?
That's what we need, an Occupy the Fed
there.
movement. That's what we need. So one guy on the page commented that we should do it on 11/22/2011, the anniversary of the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
Sure.
Sounds like a good idea. We're going to break, guys. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
And the planet today, and new homes for
We are back. JJ.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else that you want to discuss when it comes to what you witnessed yesterday before we forget? Because we only got 2 segments left, and if there's anything we didn't cover, I want to make sure we cover it.
Let me think.
Like, did you see anything that stands out that you think should be talked about? You know, I mean, other than the whole, you know, the fact that you just dropped the bombshell, the fact that you spoke to the organizers, and, you know, pretty much you think it was, you know, I don't want to say an inside job because that's cliche almost now, but they were led like lemmings onto that bridge. Did you see anything else? Maybe that you did you notice it? Did you see any like undercover cops walking around in plain clothes or anything?
Yeah, I've seen plenty of people. To say that the guy's an undercover cop and then not be able to prove it is like, you know, conspiracy theory. But there were, yeah, I mean, I saw people that didn't fit, obviously. I saw people that didn't fit that were slinging slogans that didn't fit, that were, you know, because if you get in the middle of the crowd and you just yell, you know, down with government, or, you know, you can start yelling a slogan and people just start repeating it, and it's pretty anonymous. But I observed, you know, we had the main slogans that they were talking about, you know, Occupy Wall Street, they got bailed out, we got sold out. Those were the mantras as we were marching, but then every once in a while you'd hear some sort of just off the wall, out of place, somebody trying to start some other kind of a, you know, slogan. So, yeah, I definitely heard. And, you know, and I could definitely feel the tension because we were, I mean, by the time we'd gotten to maybe about a block or so or 2 away from the bridge, I was telling the guys I was with, Jules and Darren, you guys keep your eyes peeled. You know, hair on my back of my neck is starting to stand up now, and it's telling me to run. So obviously we did, but you know what I mean? I knew that it wasn't right at that point, and something was going wrong, and I was right, they were right, and I'm glad we were far enough back. It wasn't like we chose that spot in the crowd. It was just that's where we happened to be when we were milling around taking pictures. Yeah, I was glad I wasn't up in the first 300 people because there was no way to get around. There was no way to say, wait, I can't comply. A lot of people couldn't comply. There was just so many people you couldn't even turn around once you got up on there. And then from there, they said they were starting to let people back off the bridge, but they weren't really coming off in the same numbers as they went on, that's for sure. And we were right there. I didn't fly over. I walked in with them, and the only reason I know there were thousands of people because I've been to football games and stadiums. I know what chants sound like when thousands of people are chanting. And to me, all the way up until I got to the bridge, it was awesome. The people were, you know what I'm saying? People weren't chanting these slogans and then wanting to throw bricks through windows. That was a pretty peaceful, loving thing, if you ask me. And at the end, it got turned around. Although I believe that they had it planned right from the start. I know for a fact that we were supposed to be marching in the opposite direction. I just can't believe that whole group of people that we all ended up on the Brooklyn Bridge. I didn't see it in the cards, that's for sure.
I don't think anybody did. That was the whole. No. I mean, well, let me rephrase that. Certain people obviously did, but
the cops all knew.
Well, you know, how weird is it that they were just standing there looking at you? And now it makes sense if they all knew that they were going to kettle you onto the bridge.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. You could see that little look of contempt in their eyes. A lot of them, like
yeah, keep marching, morons. Keep marching.
Yeah, you'll get yours, boy.
That's exactly the way they look at you. I know. I used to be in that machine cog, you know. When I was in the military, it was the same way. We used to have protesters come by our base, and we used to, you know, set up security perimeters and stuff, and then we all used to watch them march around, and we used to be like idiots. Till one day, I drove down to go talk to some of the protesters, and I got off the golf cart, the little security golf cart that we had, and I walked over, and they thought I was going to be a dick, and I wasn't. I actually engaged them in conversation. And the more we started to talk, the more I realized they had more in common with the protesters.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I was still in the military at the time, and I didn't say it. I said it to some of my friends. I obviously didn't run around the base with a bullhorn screaming it, but I was like, wow, dude, I really, you know, to me it was a very eye-opening experience because I realized that, you know, even if you're a cog in the machine, you probably have more in common with the protesters and the innocent people than you do the people that you work for. And that was a very eye-opening experience for me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I was really impressed with the people that I saw there at first. Again, it was completely unabashed, unadulterated peace. There wasn't one mention of any kind of anarchy or any type of you know, let's make a spectacle and get ourselves on TV or anything like that. Those people are sitting down there knowing that nothing's probably going to happen, knowing that the rules aren't going to change. But they've said, you know what, we've had enough. Someone has to make a stand. We're going to do it regardless of whether anybody else comes, regardless of whether anybody covers it in the media. We're going to do this, and we're going to stay. And I'm sure a lot of those people are going to start getting sick. They're not eating right. They're not getting the right kind of health care. I mean, not that there is health care, but they're not eating right. They're not getting the right kind of nutrients and vitamins. They're not down there. I mean, you got people wearing the same clothes for a week because, you know, you only have what you brought. So if you get a chance to send something down there for them guys, do it.
Yeah, well, then there's a call for action, people. There's Occupy,
right now.
You know, not only Occupy Wall Street, but whatever other protests, if they're taking place and they're going to be there for days. Bring them some bottled. Yeah, I mean, I hate bottled water. I hate bottled water, but try to bring them if you can find them. Maybe reverse osmosis water or something that'll take the fluoride out. Do what you can. You know, no fluoride added water. Baby wipes. I'm gonna tell you something. In the military, when you're on patrol or you're deployed somewhere, you understand baby wipes are your best friggin' friend. Okay, Bring them baby wipes. Bring them some deodorant. Bring them socks. Okay, if somebody's listening and you have a portable, a Porta-John company, bring Porta-Johns down for these people. Try to help out. I mean, it's a basic. Look, first of all, you would alleviate the problem on all the stores because then you wouldn't have people going in to use their bathrooms. Now you don't have to worry about that. Yeah. Just bring a couple Porta-Johns down.
McDonald's is the only I will touch on that. McDonald's was the only place that allowed these people to use the bathroom. In fact, a couple other places that were letting them stop, they told them that we didn't want your kind in here. And obviously, you've been downtown. There ain't a lot of places with public restrooms anyways. So right now, for hundreds of people, McDonald's is the only bathroom they're allowed to use. And there's only one urinal in there. And I sat there for like a half hour. There was like 30 people to use the bathroom. I just held it until I got back to Brooklyn. So
people need supplies.
I'm glad I went down.
People need supplies, so bring them baby wipes.
They need support. They need to know that...
Baby wipes, socks, and just a couple... If you can go out and get some plain white T-shirts or whatever, just so they have a change of clothes or something, give them a hand. Yeah. Try to show support that way. Material support is just as important as going out there and holding a sign and being pissed off. And if you don't want to go out and hold a sign, bring them some socks. Bring them some baby wipes. Believe me, that goes a long way.
Go down there and hug a few people. You should have seen the sparkle in some of their eyes when we just gave them a hug. And there was a hug girl running around giving out free hugs. She had a shirt that said free hugs. And by God, she hugged you tight like a bear for free. It was beautiful, man. I can't say enough. These people down there at Liberty Park near Wall Street, they have my full support, and I'll be back down there. If they're still there in a little while, I got some loose ends. Regular people just can't afford to go and occupy a place for a month. But, and the people are milling in and out. Some people stay for a few days and then leave, and then other people replace them. But they have my hearts, those people that are down there. They're sleeping in the rain under tarps. There's no tents down there. They're makeshift tents set up with tarps and garbage bags. And, they got my heart. I really felt for a lot of those people, and I get the chance of going back up there.
Awesome. And, we'll support you in any way we can, JJ. We'll do more of these. And if you keep going back down there, we can do more of the live shows where I can host it and just call you in on the cell, and you can do, live on the spot reporting. Stay tuned, listeners. You got one more segment. We'll be right back.
We will be getting not the next exit, the exit after that. I'll tell you, it's Lafayette, Route 20. I forget what number it is. Probably like 13.
We are back for the final segment. JJ's got some killer new bumper music. JJ, did you pick out the bumper music yourself?
Did I pick them out?
Yeah.
Well, nobody else picked them out for me, dude.
Well, sometimes, the station manager, Jimmy, if he has to.
Oh, yeah, I picked them all out. Everyone is my own one of my favorite tunes. I listen. All the bumpers you hear on my show, you'll find in my CD player in the truck. I listen to all the music. I love it. There's some Jimi Hendrix, some Bad Company, a little Soil, some heavy stuff, some ZZ Top. Yeah, I listen to it all. I love my bumpers, and I love the music I play. Yeah, they're real. I thought it was kind of funny if I picked them out myself. But yeah,
well, it was a nice change of pace. Well, sometimes because you'll hear cool music, and I'll say to the person, "Hey, you changed your bumpers. That's awesome." Oh, I didn't pick it. Jimmy X put it on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No,
so
I picked them all.
I've come to assume that Jimmy picks out a lot of the good music that I hear.
He does. Jimmy likes good music too, but no, these are all mine. These are all bumpers I picked. I send him like 50 seconds, and he does his magic with them. Should be a couple of new promos for Against the Wall coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, actually, I've heard JJ's got a few liners that I've heard in the past couple of days. Hey, this is James Freeland. You can listen to me on Against the Wall.
All right, yeah, so,
I'm sorry, I had to pick on you a little bit, JJ.
I'm definitely not trained in the field of broadcasting, but...
Dude, my liners are worse, because Jimmy, here's a little inside secret. Jimmy I couldn't get my liner to come out in, you need 10 seconds, and I couldn't do it, so Jimmy had to kind of compress it a little bit. So when you listen to my liner and you hear me, hey, it's Popeye from FederalJack.com, sounds like I drank about 6 cups of coffee before I did it. If you listen to it, it sounds a little sped up, and I'm like, hey, it's Popeye from FederalJack.com. So don't feel bad. Nobody's perfect, man. It's all good. And it gives us material to make fun of ourselves. So
yeah, I can make fun of myself. There's a lot there. I don't need, and I don't need anyone to tell me what's wrong with me, because all I have to do is go home and ask.
How was? I got a question for you. How was the rest of Manhattan in juxtaposition to Wall Street, the protest? Was there other sections of New York they didn't even act like they knew what was going on?
I'll be honest with you, nobody in New York, very few people in New York knew that there was a protest going on down at Wall Street, except for people that might find themselves in Wall Street. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not even really widely known in Manhattan that there's an Occupy Wall Street movement.
Or at least you couldn't tell that it was widely known anyway, I guess, right?
Right. No, yeah, I take that back. I don't know that for sure. You're right.
Well, I say that because I wouldn't want somebody to be like, email you. What do you mean? They're not talking about it in New York. JJ, you're part of the problem.
Well, here's an odd thing that I noticed and that I mentioned to, and my compadres here agreed with me. In this protest with these thousands of people, I didn't even hear a New York accent. I didn't hear anybody anywhere around. Very few. There was a couple people, but by and large, I didn't hear any New York accents. I didn't hear anybody talking like this, like, hey, yo. No, they were all just regular,
the people that I've seen being interviewed too.
I thought that place would be lousy.
That brings up a good point, JJ. that brings up a real good point. I have to cut you off because that brings up a good point. The news has been interviewing people, and a lot of the people that you're interviewing are coming in from other states, which is cool. But it's weird that you're getting somebody that's willing to fly in from Colorado to protest, but the morons in the city themselves won't even come out and protest.
Yeah, there was people across the street that wouldn't cross over with us.
Cowards.
I thought that was rather odd. I was expecting to hear all kinds of, Brooklyn, we do things like... I didn't hear anything. It just seemed so odd to me. I thought the place would have lots of people, local people. But it is what it is. And the people down there at that Liberty Park, guys, you guys have my heart. I will be back. Yeah, not everybody can just drop everything. And there are people that went down just to visit, and they're staying. One of Darren's buddies went down there and said, I ain't got nothing else to do. I'm going to stay. So just keep doing it.
That's cool.
Get down there.
I want to give you, Darren, and Jules a big thanks and a big shout-out for the three of you. So you guys know, the three of them headed down late Friday night, to get into the city and make sure that, they had everything prepared for yesterday, so they can get they could get there early and get really good coverage. So I appreciate the three of you guys heading down there and taking time and money out of your own pockets to go cover it for the listeners, because that's pretty awesome of you guys to do. So big shout out, big kudos, and big golf clap from the entire listenership to you. That's for you guys.
I wouldn't have it any other way, man. I thank you for covering the show for me and taking the call. Hey, listen, I'll thank everybody for listening. I love everybody that listens to my show. I don't just say that. If you showed up at my house, I'd help you. I am a good guy, and I love the people that listen to my show. I want to thank everybody. Hey, remember, it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. All right, guys? Hey, Popeye, I'm going to let you finish the show up. I'm going out, and I think I might be losing service here in a second, so I don't want to cut off. I'll just say goodbye. Thanks for joining the show. If I get a chance before the end of your show, I'll call back in.
All right, cool. Yeah,
all right, brother.
Don't worry about it. I know you guys are on the road. So JJ, again, thank you very much for calling in and doing all the live recording. That's awesome.
Thanks. All right, man. Thank you.
Later.
Ryan Talk Radio, guys. Ryan Talk Radio.
There he goes. Your regular host, JJ Inc. Him and Darren and Jules all went down to go take care of business for us. Darren's got his own radio show he does. It's called The Front, and I'm not sure what it's like. I think the name of the website you can see it on. I think his website is The Front something with The Front Radio. So just Google The Front and with Darren, and it'll pop up, and you'll be able to listen to it. He's on Blog Talk Radio. He put up a bunch of video. He gave us the code for his embeddable player for Orion. So I just want to give the three of them a big shout out, because they took a lot of time out of their day to go down there and cover the protest for everybody. So you guys could at least get somewhat of a non-mainstream view of things, and not just getting video clips from the internet, because again, as well as it and good as video clips are, we all know that the internet has been used in some of these other uprisings to show stuff that was not completely factual and accurate. Okay, i.e. Libya and stuff like that. So we have to be careful about just assuming that a 10-second clip is the 100% truth. You should watch the video repeatedly, watch the clip over, try to analyze it before just seeing it once and freaking out and reacting in an emotional reaction to it. Not a good idea. Always good to take a little bit of time and exert some brain power and try to understand what's going on a little bit. Again, if anybody can bring stuff down to the protesters on Wall Street, that would be completely awesome of you. Try to help them out as best you can. Bring baby wipes if you can, socks, fresh white T-shirts, or even if you can get some black cotton T-shirts, whatever. I'm sure they could use some fresh clothes. If people are going to give away coats and stuff, I know every year people give away coats to Goodwill and stuff like that. Maybe we could save some of that stuff, some of the clothes that you give away to Goodwill, bring it down to Occupy Wall Street, give it to some of the protesters that have been down there for 2 weeks. Okay? How about more people going down, so some of the protesters that are down there and may live locally or have access to a shower locally can go home and take a shower and come back? See, the problem is if the numbers diminish too much, then the cops will just move in to clean up what's left, and then they'll clear out the territory and say nobody can come down. You know, it's much easier to do that than it would be if you had 2,000 people out there, and then maybe the park said, well, we want them all out, because then the park's going to look like a bunch of bad people, or the NYPD will look like a bunch of bad guys. You know, perception, my drill instructor used to tell me, perception is everything. It doesn't matter if you're actually doing something wrong, but if the drill instructor presumes and perceives you to be doing something wrong, because, you know, and he presumes it because of what he's, you know, seen and what he perceives that you're doing, you're going to get in trouble. And it's the same thing with anything else. The cops are the same way. If they presume that you're doing something, you know, then they're going to act on it. It doesn't matter if you're really doing it. They're going to assume that that's what you're doing, and that's the way they're going to act accordingly. Now, is that right all the time? No. But perception is key. You know, even voting, anything. If people have a bad perception of you, if they think you're an idiot, if they think you're a moron, do you think anybody's going to vote for you? Why do you think when it comes to elections they do character assassination? That's why they're trying to attack Ron Paul the way they are. Because they have to. They don't have any other choice. They you know, when it comes to fact and anything else, they don't have it. So what they have to do is they have to create straw man arguments and lies and BS. And people really need to educate themselves about logical fallacies. This is some of the stuff I was trying to educate people about yesterday down at Occupy Miami. Well, that's it for JJ Show, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. My show's coming up 5 to 7 down the rabbit hole, so I'll be here for another 2 hours. So stay tuned.
Rise and shine. Rise and shine. Save a constitutional right.